just a hack. He's just an absolute hack. And he gets his ass kicked by his teammates every week. It's just, it's terrible. It's just terrible.
Welcome back to Hack City. Joe DeLeone, Sean Anderson, two former college football players from the University of Rhode Island. Today we are previewing Week 7 of FCS football action. We've got a lot of great games this upcoming week. But most importantly, we've got our trip. Sean and I are heading to South Dakota State. So we're going to be previewing South Dakota State, Northern Iowa. We're going to be previewing North Dakota State versus North Dakota. We're not going to get to, sadly, we're not going to get to Idaho versus Montana. We're probably not going to touch on, there was another game, South Dakota versus Youngstown State, because it would be kind of silly, Sean, if we didn't preview the game that we're traveling for. But I'm excited, though. This is going to be a fun trip.
Here's a question that I know the audience is that they need an answer to. Is Joe DeLeone going to throw up this upcoming weekend?
No, I'm not going to. I'm going to better prepare myself.
How have you done that by drinking more, or have you done that by drinking less?
Drinking more responsibly. I have done that way.
Okay. I know I won't throw up. I didn't throw up 2 years ago, and I don't plan on throwing up. I can't say the same about Joe.
When was the last time you threw up?
From drinking? Like during I haven't thrown up like the night during drinking in years. The morning after, if it was especially rough, yeah, maybe I cough too hard and I throw up.
So I think that you have an unfair advantage because of how big you are. Because for you to get to the point of consumption,
that was your first
vomit. Wait. I threw up because I drank so much the night prior. That was why.
The night prior was a little bit reckless.
I'm not going to throw up this time, Sean.
I expect it to be reckless again this year. How could it not be?
I'm going to be a little more responsible, but it sounds like we're not really going to have much of a choice on being responsible because, as it's been described to us, Hobo Day is supposed to be extremely rowdy. By the way, should we... Never mind. I'll talk to you about it after, but I don't know. The whole trip's going to be fun. I'm juiced up for it. For any South Dakota State fans that want to link up with us, let us know. We'll probably be tailgating with Chad and Brendan. Probably going to be hanging out with them at some point. So
you'll be able to find us. Yeah. Big guy, little guy. Only two of us walking together. You can flag us down. We are easy to spot.
I think that the better way to describe it, not big guy, little guy, because I'm sure that there's plenty of people of differing sizes. I think that the better way to notice is that we dress like we're not from the Midwest.
Oh, I dressed Midwest as hell last time. I had the big flannel. I had my awful jeans. I had my boots. It was
fine.
I don't know what to do because it's supposed to be 50 on Saturday.
Yeah, that's a conversation that I've been having with myself. I have to pack up my stuff entirely. I have a feeling that we're going to be colder than we are. I'd rather be hot.
It's going to rain Thursday and Friday. Like
that's great.
A good amount. So I'm sure it won't be warm. I'm sure it's going to be a nice cold rain.
We're going to be standing outside that stupid, terrible club that we went to.
Dakota stinks.
It just completely drenched.
Are we going back to the pizza joint?
I think we have to.
I think we have to document it because people in this town love that pizza place. We do not. It was
a cracker with cheese on it.
Scary, odd, liminal space. I don't want to go back, but we have to document it.
Well, what if, here's my theory. As we've described the pizza joint, I forget what the name of it is. It felt like we stepped into another dimension. Like we stepped into a different linear plane. What if we walk in and we walk out and it's 2021? What if that happens? Are you fully prepared for that to happen? Because I kind of am.
Like that? Why would you?
I kind of am. That's why we have to go back in.
Ooh.
Imagine having the ability to redo everything you just did for 2 years. I think we have to go back in there.
God.
Just for that purely.
You're probably right. I hate that because you heard things differently. You looked. There was like a film over your eyes when you walked in, and it wasn't dirty, but it was like, oh God, Joe, stop playing around, man.
So for those who are like, what the hell are these guys talking about? We went into this pizza place, and when we walked in, and maybe it was chalked up to the fact that we were violently hungover. It was right before the night before we left. We came back, we watched the Alabama Texas A&M game, and we went to bed. And when we walked in there, it felt like we were in there for 2 hours.
Mm-hmm.
But when we walked out, we were in there for 15 minutes.
Yeah.
And there's never going to be something that is experienced that existentially like that.
Like sitting in church is long, but it's
No,
like 45 minutes feels like an hour. This was, oh my God, are we going to get out of here alive? I had a thought like that. Was these people look that everything?
It's not even like we were
was
in danger.
off.
It felt like we were in a simulation.
Alien land. It did not feel
Yeah.
right. It did not feel right, and I guess we'll do it again.
Over under on us going back, let's say minus 150, plus 150. Let's say plus 150.
You're putting us an underdog chance of going back to that pizza place?
Yeah, I think that we might end up getting too busy. We might just end up dipping out.
It's going to have to happen.
Speaking of betting, can you share with our listeners a quick word from BetOnline?
Why wouldn't I? Bet Online, that's where you should be doing your gambling. That's where you should be doing your sports wagering. If you have a hunch, if you have an idea, if you are trying to revolutionize the sports gambling industry with some of your locks and picks, do it at Bet Online. You get the latest game odds, spreads, and totals from the NFL and college football at your fingertips with Bet Online's real-time updates on statistics, news, and odds. Football is still a free-for-all. The dorks took baseball. The dorks are trying to take football. So I guess if you want to be a dork and try to take over football, do it at BetOnline. Head to the website today or use your mobile device to get in on the action. Remember to use our promo code BLEAV, that's BLEAV, to receive your 50% welcome bonus on your first deposit. BetOnline, where the game starts.
Thank you, Sean.
Yeah,
starting us off with North Dakota State versus North Dakota. I'm sure that this rivalry has a name. It's the Battle of the Green Teams. That's the new name of the rivalry. North Dakota State has been dragged through the mud. They have been really, really dragged after their loss to South Dakota. And I kind of said this, but I want to reiterate it. I think that their loss to South Dakota was more telling of how good South Dakota is this year and less of how bad North Dakota State is. They get an opportunity against a little brother type rival in their eyes to reestablish some footing. Now, they've been really inconsistent. And Cam Miller has looked good in spots. He was 16 for 20 last game, and he's looked really, really rough in spots throughout his whole career. His performance is important. Their two running backs, Owen Johnson, Tamarick Williams, we know who they are. Very consistent players. And then on the defensive side of the football for North Dakota State, Sean, a guy that I don't think is getting enough love, Cole Wisniewski. I think that was what the pronunciation was. I checked the website. Cole Wisniewski, 6'4", 200+ pound safety, comes downhill, he'll hit you hard, big body guy. I see so many good players on this team, and I said this when South Dakota State played North Dakota. North Dakota is a fine, well-rounded team, but they're just so freaking average. And when you come into these games with a more dominant team, especially along the trenches, when you're that average, you're going to get beat. They're the type of team that runs the table against the rest of the conference, the rest of the mid-tier, bottom-tier teams of the conference. But when they face the top dogs, they tend to struggle, and I kind of see that happening in this year's game.
It's possible. I don't think I've ever said this about North Dakota State. This is a must-win. And I don't think I definitely have never said it about North Dakota State versus North Dakota. We've covered it every year. We've been doing FCS football coverage, talk, media, buffoonery. I've never said that this is a must-win versus North Dakota. But they also have to face South Dakota State, Southern Illinois, Northern Iowa. 3 straight to close out the season. That's a gauntlet. That is truly a gauntlet. So if you can string together a couple nice wins following the Missouri State 28-point beatdown against North Dakota, Western Illinois, and Murray State, do it because you need to. Because it's going to be hard for an unbiased person looking at the year so far to say you don't drop one of your last 3. It's very possible. So this is a must-win for North Dakota State. Buckle it up. Play your brand of football. We know your brand of football. Don't deviate. Just beat North Dakota. You can do it. You have done it. You always do. It might be tight in the first half. I remember it staying tight in the first half because North Dakota, they play their asses off in this game. But North Dakota State has been able to get away with size, talent, and coaching. So if they can do that for 4 quarters, North Dakota State should come out the victor.
I want to reiterate that the offensive line for North Dakota State is just really freaking good. I'm completely blanking on the kid's name. I'm going to look it up in a quick second, but they've got one guy. Obviously, they've got another NFL guy on this offensive line. They this season have had statistically also one of the best offensive lines despite them having the talent. 17th in sacks allowed. They're also one of the best teams in terms of, I had it written down, I can't seem to find it. They're also really good at not allowing a lot of penetration on rushing plays because they are just that downhill of a team. Where I continue to find pause is everything makes so much sense for North Dakota State as long as they don't shoot themselves in the foot, kind of like they did against South Dakota. North Dakota just doesn't have a guy that I could point to that I'm like, this is their X factor. This is their guy. Tommy Schuster is the most recognizable name, and he hasn't exactly lit the world on fire. He has been fine. He's gotten the job done. I just feel like with North Dakota, I'm looking at FCS Midwest. I'm looking at the generic team in NCAA Football 14 that's got the generic logo and the generic team colors, and it's just a bunch of dudes. It's just a bunch of guys. I'm sorry that sounds negative, but I don't see somebody that is a de facto player. Meanwhile, North Dakota State has those on both sides of the football. It's a tough matchup for them.
It is. North Dakota State, they're the favorite. And I think at the beginning of you saying it, there was a lot of criticism heaped on top of them. And if you've been top of the pack for so long and you lose a game, that's going to happen. It's unfair. Everyone still recognizes you as being a good team, but it's going to come in droves, knowing how dominant you've been, especially losing to just South Dakota. Not South Dakota State, just South Dakota. So when stuff like that happens, it adds a little bit of pressure. And I don't know. I think they're good enough to not have that stick in the back of their mind every time they're playing a team that they are favored against. But knowing whenever we were favored or how other teams operated when they were favored, it's possible that is floating around pretty consistently saying, okay, we know we can take care of business, but what if? You got to get rid of the what ifs if you are North Dakota State.
It's going to bug the living hell out of me. I'm not going to be able to find the name of the offensive lineman. Nonetheless, I think you and I are on the same page here, though, that this is a likely win for North Dakota State, but still an opportunity for North Dakota to continually establish themselves as one of that middle of the pack top 25 teams. South Dakota State versus Northern Iowa. I think that this game's floating under the radar because Northern Iowa hasn't really been highly ranked by a lot of people.
No.
I think that their win against Youngstown State is pretty good proof that they're a quality team. They're just a little bit inconsistent right now. Now, if we're talking about a team that's got a guy, if we're talking about a team that's got a de facto playmaker that takes over the football game, UNI has that. Theo Day has an NFL arm. He is a fantastic quarterback. Doesn't exactly have consistent receiving options, but when he connects with his guys, they put up points and they're hard to keep up with. Now, South Dakota State, we know who they are. They're the wagon. They're the wagon. Isaiah Davis, Amar Johnson are the best running back duo in FCS football. And we look at every single facet of their game. They're statistically one of the best teams offensively and defensively in the country. I don't know if one guy can beat a whole team, man. That's going to be really tough for Theo Day in Northern Iowa.
Yeah, their leading receiver, Sam Schnee, 28 catches, 453 on the year, 4 touchdowns. He's been.
I know you didn't, but it sounds like you made up a name. I don't know why.
FCS football, man. Sam Schnee, his most consistent and probably favorite target, the real bell cow for them, running the ball. Tajari Edwards, forgive me if I fumbled that. 71 carries, 293 on the year, 3 touchdowns. So It's still running through day. It still looks like they're trying to keep a form of running the ball and passing the ball balance, but the pass is much better. The passing game for UNI is much better, which we haven't said a lot. It's normally been the running game. Good luck, because there's a fullback and a tight end coming at you, and then the running back's gonna be following suit, or the quarterback, whoever. Who cares? But gosh, it is so difficult to pick what part of South Dakota State could be the weakness that would be exploited. Maybe their defensive backfield.
Well,
Maybe
I don't think it's their defensive backfield. Their defensive backfield's been really good. I actually think what has surprisingly been, there's two things that have been weaknesses that haven't really been talked about. And then I'm not sitting here saying that, oh my God, these weaknesses are so glaring, it's going to cost them the game, or it's going to cost them games down the line. But if somebody knows how to properly exploit it, it can be. Their offensive line has strangely given up a lot of penetration on rushing plays. They also, what's even weirder is that they are not generating any pressures, any sacks. They're also not generating any tackles for loss. They're 118th in team sacks. They're 114th in team tackles for loss. So they're producing and playing as well as they are because their secondary is really good and they've got really good linebackers. But I don't think that they've got really good defensive line. They've got hard-nosed defensive linemen. They're just not getting in the backfield and creating problems. And for it to be both of those categories, I think that there is some cause for some concern.
Oh, you better not give Theo Day time. You better not give him time. I think they know that. I bet they try to heat him up. I send 5, send 6, send them early, try to shake Theo Day. Gonna be tough. But with those numbers, you got to look at it and be like, oh my God, we're going to have to change it up a little bit. We can't just have 4 FCSD linemen being there playing gap sound football, which a lot of defensive coordinators would really enjoy if their defensive linemen just played gap sound football. But to really win games, you need some difference makers. You need some sacks. You need some pressure, because a good enough quarterback will dice you up. Yeah. They're gonna go after him though. They're gonna send the farm.
That's ultimately where the pressure is here. Is that if Theo Day has time and he can move the ball and he's not getting any pressure in his face, the guy's one of the best in college football. We've seen him get pressured in other games and he struggled a little bit. I think it was the Eastern Washington game that they lost earlier on in the season. That is going to be what it comes down to. For me, but I think we can both agree here. We're both going with South Dakota State. We both think that South Dakota State's going to win this ball game.
Yeah, you can't really bet against them. I mean, it'd be silly to do that.
Yeah,
Weber. They lost to Weber on September.
Oh, it was Weber. Yeah. It's Weber. All right, let's do our FC estimates. Sean last week goes 6-4 because he sucks. I went 8-2 because I'm the best at this. Starting us off. Oh wait, the season standings are as follows: 44-19. For me, 36-27 for the bozo.
It's impossible.
Sean Anderson. Go check the math.
Okay. I'm not going to get in the document argument anymore.
I mean, you could tally every week if you wanted to.
Just make a new one. I don't want to go through all the I don't want to go through all the mess. Because you've created
make a new document every single freaking time.
Created a way to have a fail-safe cheating opportunity.
I didn't. I was tired of having 80 documents.
Jamie, I have a project for you. If Joe DeLeone is a playoff, if Joe is 1 score off, and if you can confirm that, you drink for free at the William & Mary game. You drink on my dime. Jamie Williams, if you got to scan through the episodes, every single FC estimates, you drink on my dime at the William & Mary game. October 28th.
You're putting this on him like he's like your intern.
He sends us his picks every week, which
we haven't been checking what his current standings are. I do need Jamie to tell us where he sits in his personal standings. All right. Albany versus UNH. Who you got?
Oof. Yeah, God. Jeez. UNH.
Give me UNH as well. I don't think Albany's that good.
I Furman. Know UNH has been spotty.
Furman versus Samford.
I'll take Furman, but it feels like one they'd like to lose.
It sounds like we're talking about two Never mind. I'm going to go with Furman as well. I tried to sound clever. It didn't come out. Villanova versus Elon.
You want me to do my Furman joke again?
What was it again?
What do people in the Carolinas call their fire department? Furman.
I don't remember you saying that, but that's horrible. Villanova versus Elon.
Elon.
Villanova, Elon stinks. North Dakota State, North Dakota.
Okay, just because I heard it, and I need to. Joe picked Villanova because you just said Villanova. Elon stinks, so it sounded like you were just commenting on the game. But I have Elon. He has Villanova.
North Dakota State, North Dakota.
I'll take North Dakota State.
I'm going to take the Bison.
Copycat.
Youngstown State, South Dakota.
Give me Youngstown State.
Penguins are going to get smoked by the Yotes. Give me South Dakota. Northern Iowa versus South Dakota State. I noticed this. What's up with this? You causing problems? You're causing problems.
No, I'm not.
You're causing shit. Last year I picked not last year, 2 years ago, last trip I took North Dakota State and they ended up losing. I don't know what this is. What is this?
Yeah, why what are you doing? What are you
I'm picking South Dakota State, but you're a piece of garbage and you're picking Northern Iowa to upset them.
Give me Northern Iowa. This is my pick.
$100 to the South Dakota State fan that can take. Sean's going to be wearing a hat. If $100 to the South Dakota State fan that takes Sean's hat from him and takes
$200 to break Joe's glasses.
Oh no! Come on! Don't put that out there. Someone's going to come up and punch me in the face.
No, just break your glasses. Just a snap. Yeah.
All right, there is no offer on the table.
You want to put bounties out, right? Yeah, okay.
It's not a bounty. It's a very playful bounty.
Bounty rescinded.
Okay.
What's the next game?
The next game is Montana, Idaho. I don't know why you'd pick against the team that you're showing up for.
I'm taking Idaho.
I'm taking Idaho as well. Chattanooga versus Mercer.
Chattanooga.
I'm going Chattanooga 2. UC Davis versus Weber. Another good game.
Yeah, I'll take Weber State in this one.
Give me Uck Davis, Cal Poly, Montana State.
Montana State. End the show.
Montana State as well. At Joe DeLeone, at Sanderson Radio. We'll be back. See you in Brookings, South Dakota.